Namaste. Welcome to this new episode in this series of videos that I have planned to tell to you the detailed stories of this glorious personality, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. This is episode 13 that all of you have been so patiently waiting for. I am also very excited and I feel honored to be narrating to you the story of the birth of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, who is the main hero, the main character of this entire video series. So let's start. In the previous episode, I had left you in the year 1638 with Shahji taking control over Bangalore on behalf of the Adil Shah. But for this video and for the videos to come from here, we will rewind the cassette back to the year 1630. I have been mentioning this year over and over again because 1630 is the birth year of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So now, this is February 1630. Jijabai is at Shivneri Fort, Junnar. She is expecting any time the baby will come. However, Shahji, her husband, is out fighting a battle with this Darya Khan Rohila. He is not present at the Shivneri Fort in Junnar. So now let me first of all tell you about the Sahyadri hill range. Sahyadris are a range of hills and mountains that are in one line running parallel to the western coast of India within Maharashtra. So as you come in from the western coast, you will find one full range of hills which are running parallel to the coast in Maharashtra. And to the northern side of this Sahyadri hill range lies this fort of Junnar, that is the Shivneri Fort, where Jijamata was present, expecting a baby anytime soon. So the Sahyadris clearly bifurcate Maharashtra into two parts. One is the left part of the Sahyadris that goes towards the Arabian Sea, and the other is the right side which goes towards the mainland of our country. The part which is on the left of the Sahyadris, which eventually tapers into the Arabian Sea, that belt is called as the Konkan region. And on the right side, as the Sahyadri slopes downwards, it enters into plains and plateaus, moving into the mainland India. So this was the setting of the Sahyadris within Maharashtra, and the northern tip is where the Shivneri Fort was, and this entire area was Shahji's own territory. This is why he had kept Jijamata there, because he felt that this is the safest place ever where he could keep his expecting wife. Everywhere else, as you know, as I've been telling you in the last 13 episodes, there was chaos and stress and wars and politics and fights and battles, killing, murders going on everywhere. The Islamic rule was at its peak. The Mughals were there, the Nizam Shahi was there, the Qutub Shahi was there, the Adil Shahi was there. Everyone was fighting and was at each other's throat for blood. At this time, Shahji wanted a very safe and secure location where he could keep his wife Jijamata. Now one thing I'll tell you, Shahji's elder son Sambhaji, do you remember I've told you about him in the past? Sambhaji's in-laws, they were managing the Shivneri Fort in Junnar, and therefore Jijamata was being taken care of by them. So now comes the glorious and the most auspicious date, 19th February 1630. Now at this moment, I want to take you into the mind of Jijamata. She was worried. Yes. There were three possible reasons which I have noted down through my research that could be possibly worrying her. Let me tell you one by one. First, 1629 to 1631, the entire Deccan area was hit by a horrible famine. The agriculture was at all-time low. The produce was not there. The taxes were getting delayed to be paid to these cruel Islamic emperors. Everything was in a mess. At that time, you know, it was agriculture-based economy. And a famine is a worst case scenario for an agriculture economy. And that too for 3 years, 1629 to 1631. And the year in which Shivaji Maharaj is born is 1630. So you see, this was the first reason why Jijamata was worried. There was famine going on. Now reason number 2. This is a more serious reason. At the time of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's birth, that is 1630, there was an internal fight and a huge misunderstanding between the Bhosles and the Jadhavs. Who are the Bhosles? Shivaji Maharaj's family are the Bhosles. Who are the Jadhavs? Jijamata's family were the Jadhavs. I've told you about both of them in the past. But both these families were having serious misunderstanding and fights amongst each other. And Jijamata was caught in between in this storm. Now, what could have been the misunderstanding? There was a very unfortunate incident that took place some days back. I will narrate that story to you. As I told you in the past, both Shahji as well as Lakhuji Jadhav Rao, who is the father of Jijamata, both were in Nizam Shahi's service. I've told you in the past. So there was this particular darbar at Nizam Shah where all the officials were called. In that meeting, both the Bhosles as well as the Jadhavs were present. As they came out of the meeting, one incident happened. One particular elephant, a giant elephant whose name was Khandagli, he went mad and he started going berserk. He started wreaking havoc everywhere. As you have seen a mad elephant creating ruckus all around the place, he was running from here to there, destroying things, destroying property, going completely mad. A mad elephant, completely uncontrolled. The Mahot was sitting on that elephant, but he was not able to control him. Seeing this, one of the sons of Lakhuji Jadhav Rao, who is therefore the brother of Jijamata, whose name is Dattoji, he takes his sword and rushes towards the elephant to control the wild beast. But as soon as this happens, Shahji and his family thinks that Dattoji is rebelling against the Nizam Shah, and since they were sworn loyal warriors of the Nizam Shah, Shahji and his family rushed towards Dattoji thinking that he is rebelling against the Nizam Shah, and then a fight takes place between both. So I hope you understood the scenario. Peacefully everyone is coming out of the meeting. One elephant goes mad. Lakhuji Jadhav Rao's son, Dattoji, thinks that this wild beast needs to be controlled. He takes out his sword and rushes towards the elephant to control him. Shahji and his family look at it as if it's a rebellion against the Nizam Shah, and they rush to protect the elephant and the elephant Mahot. In that there is a fight between Dattoji and Shahji's family. A huge fight takes place, and unfortunately, Dattoji is killed by Shahji's brother, a cousin brother. Such an unfortunate incident. Seeing this, Lakhuji Jadhav Rao and his family become mad with rage and they attack Shahji's family there itself outside the darbar. Again the fight continues, and in this, that cousin of Shivaji Maharaj who had killed Dattoji is killed. The name of this cousin of Shivaji Maharaj is also Sambhaji. So don't get confused. These are three Sambhajis now. One is Shahji's cousin who is now getting killed. Second is Shahji's first son. His name is also Sambhaji. And eventually, Shivaji Maharaj's son was also named as Sambhaji. Anyways, so here Lakhuji Jadhav Rao and his family in this fight managed to kill this Sambhaji. So one family member on both sides gets killed unnecessarily in this misunderstanding, and since then both the Jadhavs and the Bhosles are at loggerheads. They are not talking to each other. They are having serious misunderstanding and possible hatred towards each other. Jijamata was the common link. She was the daughter of the Jadhavs, but she was the wife in the Bhosle family. She was torn apart. So this was the second reason why she was worried. The first reason was the famine. The second reason is this feud between the two families. But these two are comparatively insignificant compared to the third reason why she was worried. Let's discuss that. All said and done, she was a Hindu lady married to a Hindu Sardar, Shahaji Raje Bhosle. And the Hindus were not ruling India at that time. India, as I've told you, was completely under the Islamic rule. Now many of you will feel, so what if there is Islamic rule? Why should a Hindu lady be worried about it? It's okay. Sometimes Islamic rulers are there, sometimes Hindu rulers are there. No problem. It's just a shift of power. Why should she feel worried? But that's not the case. Islamic empires in the middle of the 17th century, or I might say since the time they came and attacked India and started taking control of this beautiful country, has not been exactly as peaceful as you think it is. Don't judge by the various movies that have been shown to you over the years. No. I would today like to enter deep into Jijamata's psyche and would like to tell you the various stories of Islamic rule which were prevalent and famous all across the country. There was a constant fear and worry. From where does this fear and worry creep into the Hindu households like this? Let's discuss it in detail. Will Durant, one of the most famous historians in the world, has written one line which I want to just share with you. He writes, the Mohammedan conquest of India was probably the bloodiest story in history. And I would like to add two words, never told. I'll again repeat, the Mohammedan conquest of India was probably the bloodiest story in history. And I am adding, never told. This was so cruel and gruesome that if I start telling you details, you will shiver down your spine. And today, I've come here to tell you the birth of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, but I'm going off script now, and I'm going to show you a small glimpse of what it meant to be a Hindu living in Islamic rule. Let me share with you. Question number 1. Was India a peaceful country? Was this entire subcontinent peaceful? Were there no wars, no fights before the Islamic invasions? The answer is no. There wasn't always peace. There were fights. Even the Hindu princes and kings used to fight against each other for land, territory, property, etc. It has always been this case. No doubt about that. There were wars before the Islamic invasions also. But there was a difference. Certain Shastric norms of war were always followed. They were unspoken moral codes of conduct that warriors on both sides used to follow. And these moral war codes of conduct are installed in every Indian warrior thanks to this glorious epic of Mahabharata. The Mahabharata states various rules and codes of conduct. In fact, even during the 18-day Kurukshetra war between the Kauravas and the Pandavas, there were these moral codes of conduct which were followed. What are the examples? The examples are, point number 1, the war starts at sunrise and it ends at sunset. Once there is sunset, there is no longer war. There is no longer fighting. There is no more killing allowed. This was one rule. Rule number 2, the war used to take place not within the civilian territory but outside in some battlefield so that the civilians are not disturbed. The civilians are not killed. The civilians are not tortured. Outside, just as Kurukshetra war did not take place in Hastinapur or Indraprasth. It was in Kurukshetra. It was a battlefield. Why were these battlefields therefore selected? So that the civilians, the locals, the innocent people, they are not troubled or disturbed because of these wars. And these codes of conduct were being followed by all Hindu kings before the Islamic invasions. I'll tell you more. None of these warring parties, let's say there are two armies which are at war, one party becomes victorious. The victorious party never ever used to touch any religious place of worship in the kingdom of the defeated party. Never. No Brahmins were killed, no local citizens were killed. Temples and deities used to remain intact. The worship used to continue even though the ruler might change. The worship of a particular deity within a particular temple, including the temple, used to remain intact. Chastity of a woman. This is one of the biggest issues. Chastity of a woman was never defiled. No victorious soldier used to put his dirty glands or hands on any local woman post the war. No. So basically, non-military people, the ones who are not engaged in war, were not killed, were not tortured, were not looted, were not sold into markets, nothing. All this filth never ever was a part of any of the wars that took place before the Islamic invasions. However, these waves of Islamic invasion starting from Muhammad bin Qasim to Muhammad Ghori to Qutubuddin Aibak and down right up till the Mughal Empire, and currently, as I've told you, Shah Jahan is on the seat. They had no consideration for all these moral codes of conduct. This is where we lost. We thought that all the fights will be fair, but no, there was no playing fair. All these various rules I talked to you about, and there are many more, were completely dishonored, were completely ignored by these Islamic invasions. It was during their invasion that this concept of war booty started becoming famous. Loot became a norm. Now, what is the meaning of war booty? Booty means basically all your captured wealth post a war. So when an Islamic invasion used to attack a particular territory, they used to then sit and gather war booty, which included not only wealth in terms of jewels and gold and precious metals, but also in terms of men and women. War booty. This was never a concept earlier. The local warriors here always used to fight with an unspoken code of conduct. Any kind of material gain that is achieved by dishonesty was worse than death for these people. They had such high moral grounds. However, they were all reduced to dust by this wave of invasions. They invaded us with a completely different code of conduct. They were encouraged to feast upon the local population post the defeat of their local ruler. Can you imagine that? They were encouraged to burn down villages, loot the cities, mass murder of Hindus purely based on religious identities also. The Hindu priests, that are the Brahmins worshipping in a temple, and the cows and the calves and the bulls attracted special attention of these Islamic invaders. They were special targets for them because it defiled the local sanctity of the culture there. It was their goal to destroy a particular territory's local religious, spiritual culture. So Brahmins, cows, temples, special targets. Even here there were Buddhist monasteries. They also fell under the sword of these invasions. Now I will tell you one general guideline which was given to these armies, the invading armies. Guideline number 1. After you have defeated the local ruler there and you have taken charge of the province or the territory, then start the loot. Loot everything as much as possible. Take all the wealth, take all the gold, take all the silver, take all the metals, all the precious metals, all the expensive cloth, all the animals, take everything under your control. Guideline number 2, destroy and bring down to dust any structure which resembles a religious place of worship. Destroy it. No temples allowed, no Buddhist monasteries allowed. Break it and bring it down to dust. The idols within these temples came in for special attention. These idols, what they did with them, I will tell you in some time. Such cruelty. Guideline number 3. In these very places of worship, where you have broken down their temples, erect mosques there and set up the Islamic way of life right there. They used to install these various Islamic religious preachers there so that the local population could start to be converted. That was their next guideline number 3, that is convert everyone to Islam. Guideline number 4, kill all the men. Guideline number 5, take all the children as slaves and convert them into Islam. And the next guideline, which I even shiver at the thought of telling you, is about the ladies. The ladies, the women folk, the girls were taken and considered as war booty and were gifted either to the soldiers who were victorious or to the Sultan, who is the king, or they were whisked away, taken back to Central Asia, Afghanistan and that particular area, and sold to merchants in the slave market. What must be happening to them? Can you even imagine? Why did the concept of this Johar ever come? Because these queens and princesses did not want to experience the hell and torture that was to come post the victory of these Islamic armies. These were the various guidelines that were given to these ruthless armies that attacked India. The men who were killed, of course, before killing them, they had 2 options: convert or die. If they choose to get converted, they get to live. If not, straight murder. This psychology was very difficult for the Hindu rulers here to even comprehend. Before they could even understand what happened, India was a slave. They just couldn't fathom their entire war strategy, this and that was all revolving around certain codes of conduct. But this was an evil they never even thought about in their dreams. There is one Gujarati epic written by one Gujarati poet in the 15th century. The name of this book is Kanha Dade Prabandha. In this, he writes about Alauddin Khilji's invasion of Gujarat. I'll just read these lines for you. He says, "The conquering army burnt villages, devastated the land, plundered people's wealth, took Brahmins and children and women of all classes captive, flogged them with thongs of raw hide," that means beat them with that chabuk, "carried a moving prison with it, and converted the prisoners into obedient Muslims." The word used here is Turks, obedient Turks. Turks means basically Muslims. This was during Alauddin Khilji. But Alauddin Khilji was the first one to attack Maharashtra. But India had already started to get a sense of what Islamic invasion was right at the time of Ghaznavi. Alauddin Khilji had attacked Gujarat and he had come to Maharashtra in the 13th century. So Maharashtra got its first taste of Islamic invasion in the 13th century. But India as a whole had already experienced it in the north. Do you remember 10th century, 11th century? From there, all this had begun. So Alauddin Khilji was not doing something new. His predecessors were his heroes. As I had already told you in the earlier episodes, Mahmud of Ghaznavi had become a hero in the Islamic world. As we are speaking about Ghaznavi, that is Mahmud of Ghazni, some facts just come to my head. I will share with you. You will be astounded. In the year 1000 AD,